Hi, I'm Paul from Hopstar Computing Solutions, here today on behalf of the Mountain City Council Learning Directory to bring you the second part in a three-part series on how to make your own free website. If you haven't watched the first part, I recommend you go back and watch that one first. We cover how to set up your account, how to choose a theme, and how to get things all set up. Before we get started, I just wanted to cover a few corrections from the previous video. Firstly and mostly, WordPress.net is not a thing. I meant to say WordPress.com versus WordPress.org. .org is a place where you can go and actually get WordPress set up on your own server if you have a server set up. Here we're using WordPress.com. Very important distinction there. So WordPress.com is the one that we do want. WordPress.org is the one that we do not want. Today we're going to have a look at logging back in to your WordPress site, the control panel on the left hand side of the screen, and have a look at the things we covered last week, only briefly though. Today we're also going to cover using the block editor to make your first blog post. If you've done your homework from the last video, then you might have already have a 5 blog post written. We're also going to have a look at creating some logos for your sites, as well as favicons or site images. So the little image that you'll see in the top corner of a website when you're on that page. We're also going to talk about adding an About Me page. Okay, first let's go over and log back into our WordPress site. You'll see over here, I've also got a few other tabs open. Let's go to WordPress first. As you can see, WordPress.org actually comes up as the top result here. We don't want that one. That's the one where you can load WordPress onto your own website if you have one. We want WordPress.com. You can see here actually we have login and just WordPress. Either of these will do. I'm just going to use this one, WordPress.com. You can click on either the link here or here. Remember, up top right hand corner of the screen we have login. I'm going to click there and enter in your email address and password. I'm using a password manager, so all I need to do is choose the right one from my list here and click continue, and then log in. It's filled in my password for me. This one used to confuse me quite a bit. When you first log in, you have kind of WordPress's sort of news site where they're showing you some new features, which is sometimes good to read. You might see some highlighted people doing blogs. But for us, we're going to click on My Site up to top left here. This is our control panel. It's where we're going to be doing most of our work from. We looked at it last week. We went to the Design tab, and we went to Themes, and we set a theme for our blog. And then we came back here, and we went to Site, and did some things in here as well. Let's go over to Pages, and just have a refresh on what pages that we currently have automatically set up on our blog. We have the blog page, contact page, the About page, and the home page. I'm pretty sure we set our home page up to be just the default one. We can also visit our site at any time. I think you click up here first on the top left. That gives us a preview in sort of where we can edit things. If we want to see what other people will see, we can click the visit site up here. What I usually do is actually right mouse click on the visit site and select the first one here, which is open link in a new tab. You'll see up here it opens up a new tab, and this is how people visiting our site will see it. You can actually go to hopstartravel.wordpress.com and actually see the site we have set up here. Some of the other tabs I have open here that we'll be looking at today include Pixar Bay. I'm actually going to search for travel here, and favicon.io, a site where we can generate the little icons. And the favicons I've mentioned before, you can see up here, the favicon for this site is a little fancy F inside of a blue square. For Pixar Bay, it's a little green square with P and X. For our travel blog, I've got the little star that I also use for my computing blog. WordPress has a little W inside the thing, and over here I've also got Gmail open just in case we needed it, in case we needed to confirm anything. And they've actually updated their favicon to be a little letter M, which I guess stands for mail. Let's go back to our site for a moment. And on the left hand side, we're going to go down to posts. So this whole section is going to be about making your first blog post. Once again, a blog post is basically like a small little article about something that you're interested in. For this example, we're doing a travel blog. Your blog could be about gardening, could be about art, could be about anything that you're interested in. So by default, it looks like it's added a welcome to Hopstyle Travel post in here for us already, for our blog. We can click on that one and actually have a look. And for this first one, we might just edit this and make it something a bit nicer. And I'll show you how to add images as well. So we have some example text here, which we will leave, which is fine. It's sort of a made-up language. It's called Lorem Ipsum. You can Google that one if you want to find out more, but it's just a made-up language that's designed to show how text would look when it's inputted into a document or into a website. We have that read more tag here that we spoke about last week. I'm going to show you that one again as well. And the idea of that is that you'll get a preview on the main page, and then you'll need to click more to read the rest. Quite a nice way of doing it. So we're going to actually have a look at the block editor now. So the block editor is what's being used by WordPress to enable you to do some easy drag and drop and just sort of click on things to make things happen. This lot of text here is in one block, and when I'm actually clicking in it, you get options for that block. You can see here we can change the block type or style. We can move things up and down. So if you've got a block of text, move the whole thing up and down. You can choose to change the alignment of the text, make things bold or italic. We can add links to other things. That's a bit more advanced, but we might cover that after. And there's more options here. Some of these things I've never used before, but you've got a whole lot of different options here. Clicking on the triple dot button on the end here, there's hide more settings. So you can hide some of the advanced settings. One's on the side there. You can see that opens up and closes the things on the side. I like to leave that open. There's quite a few things in there that we will be using. Duplicate blocks, insert ones after, edit as HTML. If you're into HTML, there's an advanced way to do your text. You can also reuse blocks as well. Let's actually add an image to this blog post, and then I think what we'll do is we'll actually make a new blog post to practice this as well. So I want something after the read line there. I can click in here somewhere, click there, and I can actually say I want to insert a block before this one. Let's do that. So I've clicked on the triple dot button at the end here, insert before. You can also use a shortcut key, Control Alt and T. I'm just going to do insert before. We've now got a block here. Once you've added a new block, it can be a bit hard to see. If we click outside of it, we'll see it comes up and it says start writing or type to choose a block type. If we type something here like my holiday, and you see the actual control box pops up here when we stop typing. We can change this, and it's kind of smart the way that it does it. It says you want to change this to a tweet, to a heading, to a list, to a quote, to a group, pre-formatted, full quote, in verse. Not use some of those ones. Let's change it to a heading. Click on heading. My holiday becomes a heading. Let's say underneath that we want to add a picture. There's a couple of different ways. So before we clicked on this one and we did insert before or insert after. Instead, by clicking here, move my mouse around, a little plus button appears. You can click that one and we can choose a common one, or we can do something like this. Type in the word of what it is we want to add. I use this one a lot and I can't think when I want to add a quote and I can't find it from the list. Click on that one. We're going to do just a single image, and this sets up a little block. These things are called blocks, and we have a couple of different options. We can upload one, we can select an image, we can insert from URL or Uniform Resource Locator. That's basically, if you know the URL of an image, you can enter it in there. Let's actually try that one. I don't know if it'll work. I'm going to go over here to Pixabay. I've already done a search for travel. And let's say we want to put in this nice one. If we click on that, let's try and right mouse click and copy image location. And then if I come back over to here, one more, back to the first tab, and do insert from URL and paste that in here. Apply. And there we go. The only problem is doing it this way. If this site decides to remove this image for some reason, then the link will no longer be there. My holiday. And then we have a nice boat there, and we have the text. So these three things are three separate blocks. This is a heading block. This is an image block. You can also see it changes here. And this one is a text block. So with each one of these blocks selected, either the holiday, the picture, or the text, you might notice on the right-hand side of the screen here, a few things happen when I click on this. This is called a contextual menu. So it changes based on the context of what you have clicked. On the heading, we get options for the heading. We could make it, for example, maybe make it larger. That's actually smaller than a regular heading. Back to default for a heading is like that. About color settings, maybe you want to make this a nice fuchsia color. These colors are usually set by the theme that you've picked. You can also change the background color. I don't know what that does for text. Oh no, I don't like that at all. That's not good. What about slightly different color? No. Okay, that's fine. Leave that one as the way it was. We clear that. Nice. Clear that back the way it was. A few different things to try in there. That's fine. So the blockhead is actually quite smart. Once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. It can be a little bit fiddly when you're getting started. For example, if you've got this block of text here and you want to add a separate block, sometimes you go, well, where can I add? There's no plus button here. What can I do to add the thing down the bottom here? And what you need to do is click on the thing here and say insert after, and then we get our block here. Then you're like, well, hang on, I wanted to insert an image. That's where things can get a little bit tricky. If we click the plus button over here, I think, and then change it to image. Ooh, image and description. Let's try that one. Was that the premium content? Nope. Okay, that's pretty nice. Now we've got a combination block here. Sometimes it's good just to play around and have a try these things. You never know what might come up. That one's a bit too big though. Make that smaller. And the actual box smaller. I'm basically just clicking around and trying different things. This is actually a fairly recent addition. And see, this block has its own controls here. So we can change this to, let's say, replace, I guess. Media library, Google Photos. So you can connect it up to Google Photos. Pexel is a free photo one, so that's similar to the one we are using. Obviously, they've got some sort of connection. And you can upload your own images as well. I'm actually going to delete this block. Another thing you need to know how to do. Let's see if I click the triple dot button here and remove block. Excellent. I want to show you now how to download an image, which I think is a better way than linking it via this way. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to pick a different image. I'm just going to click the back button. Let's pick hold camera. Give it a click. This time I'm going to download it. I'll leave it on the default setting and download. If you have an account for Pixabay, then you won't need to do this little step here. And then click download. There we go. Firefox will ask me to save it, shows what I want to do. Click OK. And using Firefox, I need to actually go down and chase that file down. Open up the directory. So it's in my downloads folder. Makes sense. When I go back to my post, that's actually, I'll leave that image. We'll come down the bottom and we'll add our other new image. So once again, click more options. Insert after. Got the block here now. Plus image. I just want to do a regular image here. And this time I'm going to upload an image. The select image is used for ones that you've already uploaded previously, so you could upload a whole lot of images beforehand. Go to downloads, and there's our photo here. Turn on the little preview button here. We can also check what the photo is before we open it. So to do that in Windows, I just click the little preview button, and we can see what it is. There we go. So even if this image gets taken down or they change the link to it, it doesn't matter because we've downloaded this and then re-uploaded it. Okay, so now we've got our blog all sort of set up here. We've got our heading for our blog. We've got body of text. Normally you'd have to obviously write up to something that makes sense. We've got a nice picture that we've inserted. We make sure that we downloaded that first. I do recommend that one. We've got the rest of our text here and another picture that we've inserted down here. Once again, you can add a picture that is linked, but I recommend you download them. Make sure that everything doesn't go wrong. Over on the right hand side here in the sidebar, I knew I'd come up with a better name for it, or a proper name. We have a few things here about the post or about the blocks. Let's actually switch over to block just for a moment. Clicking on that one, it depends on what you have clicked. We're going to get all the settings for it. So there's an image block, lots of options there. Click here, we get options for the text. You can change the size of the text if you wish, so you can have much larger text. Default will set to whatever the template is supposed to say that it's supposed to be. You can do all sorts of things with the coloring, as we sort of showed before. You can do a drops cap. Ooh, that'll look good actually. Let's go up the top here and actually click here and set a drop cap. Gives you a nice big first letter. Very fancy. All these settings, I believe you can also access from here. You might get different settings here, I think, than we do over here. So it's very important to have this one open so you can see what's going on. Let's leave the drop cap in there. The other things that are important over here, once we please take me back off the block. That one's for the block, and this one is for the whole post. We have several different sections here. The first one is status and visibility. At the moment, the visibility is set to private. We are going to set this to public. And then I think we need to update it first before it actually goes live, but we're getting ready to go live now. It was originally published on the 21st, but being private, then it wasn't really published out into the world. Stick it to the top of the blog, so this would appear up first. I don't actually know what AMP is. Turn off, would it tell us? Nope. And we've had 6 revisions, so if you've made a lot of changes, you can go back and edit them. We don't need to. A permalink is if you wanted to get people to link back to you. You can view the post from this link, so you can give that to other people. At the moment, we are welcome to Hopstar Travel is the part of the link that people will be able to navigate to. So you can see here you have the whole address, which is hopstartravel.wordpress.com. The date, welcome to Hopstar Travel. So we could change that to Hopstar Travel begins, for example, and you see it changes the link. So this is the link that you would share. If you have a paid account and you have set up a domain name, which is something we'll be talking about next video, then you could have something much shorter. So rather than having hopstartravel.wordpress.com and all that, we could just have Hopstar Travel slash the date slash name of the blog article. So one of the advantages of having a paid account and paying for a domain name. Next up, we have categories. I've been told that categories don't make a huge deal in terms of how visible your post is to the internet, but it can help you categorize your own things. Perhaps in a travel blog, you might do categories for travel equipment. We might do a category for travel locations, maybe travel advice. Tags are kind of similar, but you can add multiple tags. So you could have overseas, you could have the country name, for example. If you're doing a gardening one, you might say winter, spring, summer, autumn. You can tag other things that are occurring throughout the article as well. That can help with it being searched. When someone searches for travel blog winter locations, if your blog has been tagged with winter, that might be more likely to show up. The featured image is the image that we've seen at the top. If I actually come up to the top here and I middle click or right click and open a new tab, but middle click's another little tip there. If you middle click this one, it's pressing with the mouse wheel, it'll open it in a new tab. And we can preview here. So the featured image is the image that will be shown at the top. The other images we added are further down throughout the blog. Back over to here. The other option is you can right click that and say open in a new tab. Middle click, I just do it so often that I do it almost by default now. So right click, open a new tab, or using the mouse wheel to click on something, open it in a new tab. So that was the featured image. You can actually also close these just to make it a bit easier to see. Close that, just click on the word, close tags. An excerpt is a piece of text from your blog that you might like to put in. People will see before they come here. You might have some inspirational quote or something interesting, and you could just copy that and paste that in here. Let's just close that so we can see the rest. We have discussion. Now this one's an important one. I've had problems with mine in the past. They might have updated this. It says allow comments. If this is ticked, then people will be able to comment on your blog. If it's unticked, it will not allow people to comment, basically. And the problem I had was this was often unticked, and I had to make sure every time I came to come in and tick that one. Pingbacks and trackbacks are fine for even as well. That means that people can actually, perhaps on their blog post, sort of quote yours by putting in a link to them. It'll actually allow that. And finally, post attributes. Not much to change in here. You can change the type of template that it's using for the blog. We can just leave it with the default. That's fine. Let's go and update. Now that we've checked all our settings, updating. So it says down the bottom left here, post has been updated. You can view the post. So that's, once again, let's middle click. Let's do some advanced things and let's middle click on that. And this one is now live. And you can see here, Hopstar Travel begins rather than welcome to Hopstar Travel. And we have, that was our little excerpt. I think word for a moment then. It says 21st of September, so that's, I don't think that really matters that it's a different date. It's only because it's taking me 1 or 2 days to put the video together. Come down here and geez, that looks good, doesn't it? So we're viewing the full blog post here, which is why we're not seeing the read more thing which we've mentioned before. We're going to go and see if we can find out where that lives actually. Scrolling down though, coming down here, it has some options where you can, if you are a person who's viewing this post as opposed to the person who's made it, share this and other things, and people can actually leave replies here, comments. And let's give it a test here. Test. I'm currently logged in as testing account. Notify me of comments and replies. Post a comment. Test. You can switch to different accounts. So you might have a different account for viewing your page. And our test is down the bottom here, so people can leave comments, and that's a great way to interact with your audience. Now that we've got our first blog post up, let's actually have a look at how our homepage will look. We will need to go and edit this because at the moment it's still got some of the default things in there, and it does give you a place where you can go and learn WordPress.com, and I highly recommend you do that because it's been created by the people who've made WordPress. So once again, we can middle click on this one. Sometimes if you left click, we'll change the page on. Middle click will always open in a new tab. There's a whole lot of extra things we can read on here. Lots of articles. Let's go back to our control panel here, and we can go to pages. If you can't see pages, you might need to open up Site like this. And let's have a look at the home page. Here we can see some of the default things. Those blog is there. We have this part here. Once again, we have options for the page and options for the block. So I want to change this block here. Here's on our site. I can click on that. We don't want any other information there, so I can highlight that little text block within the larger block. You don't want the Learn More button. Let's see, let's delete that. Click here and remove block. Excellent. And text good. I want to actually remove that. This is a button. It tells me over here that this is a button, and I want to remove it. Okay. Sometimes with computers, if it doesn't work the first time, just try it again. So welcome to your new site. Rather than saying that, let's say welcome to Hopstar Travel. PL. Join me on my trips around the world. Something like that, a little tagline there. So many things you could do here, adding images, of course. You have our latest blog there, get new content. So this is actually a good one to leave here. People can subscribe so that when you put out a new blog post, if they're interested, they'll get an email notification. The last things I wanted to cover today, just quickly, is a possible free option for making a logo and a favicon or icon that you will see up here. So at the moment, I'm using the little star icon. You can see, as I mentioned before, we've got the WordPress icon. Most sites have their own little logo or favicon. Let's actually start with a logo. Now, I also might have put in the wrong link last time. I think I said logogenerator.com. It's actually .org. Not having a good time with those extensions, am I? So that is one reason why I will often search for something rather than trying to type in the URL. If you type in logo generator and even free, several ones will come up, and none of them are necessarily better than the other ones. So it's a good idea to try a few maybe. I'm just using freelogodesign.org, which I have already opened over here. In here, you can do things like enter your company name, and it will include it in the design. You can also choose different categories. Let's see if there's one for travel. Technology, travel and hotel. Perfect. And let's say Hobstar. And then as you can see right away, it's giving me a few different options here. Let's go across and see what looks good. Quite a few, and it should update most of them to include your name if you've typed one in there. Let's use this one. That one looks pretty nice. I'm going to click on that. Now, I've not actually done this before, so we're doing this for the first time together. We have here, it looks like some sort of editor. There's different parts to this image or logo. Maybe we click here and maybe we can change the color. I'm actually quite fond of blue colors, so we might even leave that. Let's change it to a different shade of blue. Too dark. I like sort of cyan. Whoops, get out of there. That's an actually important part about computers, is sometimes you just have to get in and have a go. Let's do that, and let's change this black to maybe, well, white's not going to work. What about grey? Light grey, dark grey. Then make it a bit darker. The opacity. I don't want it quite to be completely black, so if we come up here a bit and go select, good. Lots of different options here. Click this one was an option to flip. Have it facing the other way if you want. Upside down. So nice, easy editor here. Multiple different shapes in there. Oh, let's actually change the shape here to be green. Actually, you know what? I don't like that. I'm going to cancel that. That looks fine the way it is, I think. Now that it's done, what do? We don't actually want the background color. That's fine. Let's preview it for a start. I get the feeling though that low res for free, high res website and logo. So you definitely can pay to get these. I'm just going to go for the free option and download. And it appears it wants us a place to send it to. This is also where they're going to send. They have some advertising material. So let's use my hobstarcs at Gmail address. That's one I use only for testing. At gmail.com. Looks good. I've clicked OK. It's trying to get me to sign up for some other things. That's fine. I don't actually want that. I'm going to click X on that one. Let's go check Gmail and see if it's come through. Over here in Gmail, you can see in the Updates tab, here we go, free design is ready. Download it. And it's doing it. Okay, click Save. Go into my Downloads folder. If you're having any problems, you can click here to force it to download. Don't need to do that. So let's go back over to WordPress and see where we have to go to add this to our site. Let's click on the WordPress logo over here to open the block editor sidebar. And let's go back to View Pages. Yeah. Oh, we've got unsaved changes on this page. Better cancel out of that for a moment then. Cancel. These things I've entered haven't been saved yet. Let's click Update. Good thing that I warned you. And let's try it now. Go back to View Pages. And we want this time, under Design, Customize. Once again, Design's not open, you'll need to click on it. And this is where you can get a bit lost. So we've actually gone down an extra step. So to get back to the other options, you would need to click X. Go back to that one. And Site Identity at the top here. I've got this logo at the moment. Let's change the logo to the one we just downloaded. We'll need to add it. We're going to upload a file. Select files. And there we go in the downloads. Once again, my preview's on. See there. Good idea so you can see what's going on. It's uploading. You can add additional information like alt text for visually impaired people. When you put your mouse over it, it'll give you a description of it. You can add a caption and a general description. Let's just go select. You can crop it. Probably don't need that much, so we can just grab the little handles here and good to have a bit of space around it and crop the image, or you can just skip it. I actually quite like that. Let's crop the image. And there we go. It may be a little bit small, but I actually think that looks pretty good. Pop star, travel everywhere. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Now, at the moment, we've still got the favicon set to my star from the old one. Let's see now, if we go over to other site, favicon.io, that's one link that I did get right. There's quite a few different options here. You can turn text into an icon, you can turn a PNG or an image file into an icon, or you can just pick an emoji to have up there. Let's actually try this. Let's do PNG to icon. It says drag and drop your file here, or click here to upload. So I can click here to upload under downloads. That same one. Let's see what it does with it. I'm not sure how this is going to turn out. It's got it there. Let me just download it. Okay, there we go. I was expecting an additional process there. But let's we can save it and then open it because it's downloading it as a zip file. So then I'm going to have to actually open that. A little bit more fiddly. I'm actually going to open up the download folder, and I would right click on that and select extract. Extract all, fine. Download it into the same folder. So I don't actually need the extra bit there. Just download into the downloads folder. And it's giving me actually quite a few different ones. So we've got an Android Chrome one, we've got Android Chrome bigger one, so more pixels, Apple Touch, favicon.ico or icon, isn't giving me a preview, and a couple other ones as well. So that's actually really cool. So this one zip file, if I double click on it, contains quite a few different versions of that icon. Let's go and test back in WordPress. Down here, let's change the image. And not that one, that's the one we've already uploaded. I want to go to upload files, select the files, and I think we want this one. Let's try that one. It actually does not like that file type for security reasons. Okay, so let's choose one of the other ones it's given us. Any of these? Let's try the biggest one, the second biggest one, and just see how that looks. And go select. This is going to be for our favicon. I'm actually going to crop out the text. Now, there's a couple of different ways you could do this. I'm just going to let me crop. Nope, that's fine. So we'll leave this like that for now. You'd want to obviously play around with this and maybe make it look a bit better. I would actually go in and edit out the text and have just a circle up there. Image. And if we look up the top now, we need to go back to our actual site. How can we view our site to actually preview it? Let's save the changes first. Save changes. We now need to click the back button here. And to get all the way out, we need to click the X. And we can see the little logos there, which is quite cute. Let's go and view our page. So we can just middle click on this one. It's very hard to see, so maybe in the third video we'll go over again. Perhaps I'll find a better way to make it a nice looking favicon. That's really tiny. You can see a tiny little dot there. Zoom in on that. So good for a start, not fantastic. Click on that one now, and we can see the difference between this one and the other one, which just hasn't been refreshed yet, that's all. So people will now see this one instead. Very cool. So we covered quite a lot today. We had a reminder that it's wordpress.com, not net, and we don't want .org for sure. So wordpress.com. We looked at the control panel. We looked at logging in. We looked at the block editor when we were editing our blog post. We looked at making a logo and a favicon or site icon. And we didn't actually talk about the About Me page, but we're running a bit long. So what we might do is put that one into next week. Have a talk about how to construct a good About Me page. Other things we'll be covering next week is we're going to look more about making a blog post. So we'll create a new blog post instead of just editing an existing one. We'll look at different things that you can use a free account for, and we'll look at how to connect all of this to your social media as well. That's a great idea because you can have a free account on things like Facebook and Instagram and have things automatically when you post a blog on your WordPress site pushed out to your social media. We'll also discuss the importance of having your own site versus having everything controlled just by your various social media accounts. We'll also look at paid accounts in a bit more detail, what you actually get out of them and why you might consider upgrading. And like I said, the About Me page as well. Keep an eye on the Melton City Council Learning Directory Facebook page and YouTube channel for more videos and ways to connect.